Magic 87.6 morning, Andrew on the radio, and Matthew Dickerson morning.
Hey, good morning. Great to be chatting to you, Andrew.
Always a pleasure, mate. Now, come on, Matt, you can't be serious here. You can't get reception in some parts of Mudgee, but yet you can get reception on the moon. No, you got to be joshing me here.
It does sound like a bit of a G-up, doesn't it? You're
Yeah.
right. Lots of places, as we travel around regional New South Wales, you don't get reception or it drops back from 4G to 3G. So the solution may well be, let's go to the moon, because NASA has just contracted Nokia to build a 4G network on the moon. I am disappointed, actually. I thought that would have gone straight to 5G, but at this stage, just a 4G network on the moon. By late 2022, this will be finished. So it's not something way off down the track. It's only a couple of years away before it will be built. And you think, well, why do they need a 4G network on the moon? What are they going to do with it? It's going to be a voice network. It's going to be a data network. It's going to be able to actually control things, robotic things, remote devices on the moon. There is that bit of an issue with latency because the moon is a little way away and light, as you would well know, travels at 3 by 10 to the 8 metres per second. So that takes a little bit of time for the signal to actually reach the moon and then for the signal to come back. But this is all part of establishing a base on the moon. It's NASA's Artemis project that's going to be a base on the moon by the year 2028. And what I love about this, it shows you how important a mobile phone network is. It's 8 years away before there'll be a base established there. But the first thing they've got to do within the next 2 years is have the mobile phone network up and running, because that's more important than, say, water or somewhere to grow some plants and have some food. The mobile phone network is the critical component.
Yeah, I know, because you got to be able to Facebook anywhere, Matt. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I was more thinking about those Insta moments. You know, if you want to be able to go to the moon, you want to be able to post on Instagram, or if you're not posting on Instagram, then it didn't happen.
Yeah, I know, right? Facebook photos.
Maybe that's the problem with the first moon landing, where people, some people still have doubts about that first moon landing because it's not on social media. It didn't happen.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. There you go. It baffles me, they can put bloody anything on the moon, but they still can't put a mobile phone tower that covers the whole Castlereagh Highway.
That's right.
I know. Let's get some priorities here, people. Let's get some priorities here. Now, the iPhone 12, it's big news. Pre-orders happening, but apparently if you got an old iPhone, Apple aren't doing any tricks, are they, Matt?
Well, no, you would hope not. And some conspiracy theories out there say that every time there's a new iPhone launched, then suddenly all the old iPhones start slowing down cynically so that you buy a new iPhone. But the evidence shows that it's not quite as simple as that. People do actually see their old phones slow down. It's not just with iPhones, it's with basically any of the manufacturers. And the reason they see them slow down is not some wild conspiracy theory, but normally when a new iPhone or a new phone is launched, there'll be a new operating system launched with it as well, which typically will go onto the old model. So iOS 14 is out now. If you've got an older iPhone, it will just seem like it's a little bit slower. It does some new indexing. It basically reorganises all your data. That chews up your battery life a bit quicker. Suddenly you think, oh no, my phone's going slower and my battery's going flat. So you do see that, and it's real. It normally takes a couple of days for that initial impact to happen, and then it kind of settles down to the way it was, except the new operating system normally has new features, new apps will come out for it, those new apps give you new features, so it actually will slow down your phone and it will actually use up a bit more battery with all of those things that are happening. So it is right, it's not a conspiracy theory, it's just new features that get added in, and conveniently it also means that people are more looking towards upgrading their phone.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's been a conversation at our house about upgrading phones. Now, pre-orders already happening about the iPhone 12. How are they going?
Yeah, they're going fantastically. About 2 times or twice the number of orders or pre-orders for the iPhone 11. Now, Apple won't ever release the official figures. They're very cagey about their numbers, but there's some analysts who look at a whole range of bits of data and come up with some fairly accurate numbers. So over the first 20 hours of pre-orders, remember pre-orders only started last Friday night Australian time, over the first 24 hours, somewhere in the vicinity of 1.7 to 2 million pre-orders were achieved by Apple across the world. When you compare that to the iPhone 11, pre-orders were only 500,000 to 800,000. And what makes it even more impressive is that only half of the 4 iPhones that were announced last week actually went on pre-order. So the iPhone 12 and 12 Pro went on pre-order, but the iPhone 12 Mini and iPhone 12 Pro Max haven't gone on pre-order yet. They're not going to be released until the 13th of November, and pre-orders will start about a week before that. So that's only half, and they've still achieved those numbers. Not quite as good as the old iPhone 6, though. When the iPhone 6 was first announced, the first 24 hours of availability saw 4 million iPhone 6 devices sold. So not quite as good as that, but still pretty impressive compared to the iPhone 11. I think the main driver here, Andrew, is probably 5G. As you would well know, owning a Samsung 5G phone yourself, Samsung came out with 5G in April last year. So it was probably overdue for Apple to bring out 5G. So that's probably the main driver of this bigger uptake compared to the iPhone 11. But there's other features as well that are quite nice, but that 5G is probably the main one.
Yeah. Where the hell are you, Apple? I've already had one forever. I've already been there, done that. I like your phones, though. If Apple ever put expandable memory in their phones, Matt, I would buy one.
But
that is the only thing that stops me buying an iPhone.
Yeah.
Is the expandable memory, and that is why I go and buy a Samsung every time. But they make some damn good phones, Samsung. But,
and people still don't get that. I had a customer walk in the other day talking to me saying, "Oh, can I just buy some extra memory, please? I've run out of memory on my iPhone." And it was an unpleasant conversation to explain the way you buy some extra memory for your iPhone is to buy a new phone. Most people don't necessarily understand that when they buy the phone.
Yeah, no one wants to delete stuff. I got photos from 5 years ago that look atrocious, but I don't care. They're still on my phone.
Yeah, and you'll never look at them again, but just in case you want to
That's exactly right. Yeah, I have a movie on my phone, Matt, I reckon it's been sitting on my phone for 4 years, and I sit there and I look at it and go, I should watch that one day.
But if you've got enough memory and you've got expandable memory, who cares?
I know, I've got it. It's there. If I want to watch The Martian, I could watch The Martian. So... wireless charging, it's convenient. I love it, but look, are we already whinging it's too slow?
Well, it is convenient. You're spot on. It actually is quite nice to use wireless charging, but wireless chargers are typically slower. And if you look at some of the first wireless chargers, you're talking around 7 watts for charging. Some of the new wireless chargers are up around 15 watts. But your plug-in charger, for example, typically in a Samsung as an example, is 20 watts. So you're certainly getting a faster charge out of your cable. But one company who has been pushing the envelope with wireless charging is a company called Xiaomi, which is spelled Xiaomi. I think it's pronounced Xiaomi. I think I've got that pronunciation right. But they've got some pretty good wireless chargers already, but they've got a new phone coming out that's got an 80-watt wireless charger. So when you talk about that 20-watt wireless charger with a cable, then 4 times that charging. They're talking about dead flat battery to fully charged in 20 minutes. Or another way of looking at it, 50% charge in only 8 minutes because it slows down the charge as it gets close to being fully charged. So that's pretty impressive in terms of the speed of charge. So it's still got the convenience of wireless charging, still the ability just to sit it down somewhere, don't worry about mucking around plugging cables in, breaking off ends in the end of your phone. And that speed of wireless charging, if they get to that point where that's mainstream across lots of phones, I think you'll see a much bigger uptake of wireless charging.
I can't believe we've gotten to that now kind of point with wireless charging. I just want to drop it on the thing and have it done now. I don't want to wait an hour. I want it now.
Yeah, and that's what the world's all about. And speaking of dropping it on there, that's one of the new advances in the iPhone 12. They've got Magsafe, where they've effectively got magnets in the wireless charging. So nothing worse, Andrew, than dropping the phone on the wireless charger, going out, doing whatever you have to do. You walk back an hour later thinking your phone's going to be pretty well fully charged, and you realise you didn't quite sit it on the wireless charger right. Yeah. So Apple's new Magsafe basically gives you the ability to drop it somewhere there or thereabouts, and the magnet will snap it into location so you're getting it exactly on the right spot every time. Obviously, you need the Apple Magsafe charger or one of the licensed chargers to work with that. So it'll still work with a normal wireless charger, but it won't snap to it. But I see this sort of thing being, I suppose, something that moves it forward as well to make sure that every time you sit it on there, it gets it in the right spot.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I remember with an old Samsung phone where I had a wireless charge, you do that, you leave it on overnight and you'd still find it at 34% the next morning. It's bloody terrible.
That's right.
Yeah, we all hate mowing the lawns, but is there now a robot that can now do it for us?
Well, there's been some robots around for a few years. In fact, my first robotic lawnmower, Andrew, I bought back in 2010, so 10 years ago, a company called Mower. I used that for about 8 years. It finally wore out, bit the dust, and I bought another one a couple of years ago. But they're still not mainstream yet. But I can see now that Victor has just unveiled a new robotic lawnmower. I think this might start to push it towards being mainstream because Victor's such a name that people know and love and trust. So when they bring out a robotic lawnmower, people start to sit up and take notice. Unfortunately, Victor's not owned by an Australian company anymore. It's owned by Briggs & Stratton. So unfortunately, that's a minor thing, but the name is still well known. And so they've got a robotic lawnmower. It works just the same as, say, my robotic lawnmower. You put a wire around your garden, bit of mucking around there, bit of time to put that wire in. But once you've got that wire in around the edge of your garden or the edge of your lawn, it then mows along, senses the wire, turns around a random number of degrees and keeps mowing. And essentially, it docks itself automatically. You schedule it to come out and mow. Basically, you forget about your mowing of the lawn. It just takes care of itself. It mulches the lawn as it goes. And if there's an obstacle like a tree, a bit of furniture, maybe a small child, it bumps up against it and then turns around and keeps going again.
I have this wonderful device, Matt, at our house that mows the lawns. I go there, and some weekends I just go outside and it's already done with it. It's a marvelous device. Do you want to know what it is?
A goat?
No, it's my wife.
Oh,
Love
no.
it.
Oh, no. I am not going there, Andrew.
She's the ultimate lawnmower, seriously. As much as I go out and mow the lawns, and I've been mowing lawns since I was 7, so I should know what I'm doing. You know what it's like when you go out there and you do the lawn sometimes, and it's like you missed that, you didn't do that there, you didn't cut it properly. So I was out there and I went, fine, it's your job now.
Well, I am leaving that completely alone. I'll let you take care of that in your marriage and the privacy of your home. No comment.
I love it. It's fantastic. Everyone should try it, like seriously. Let's talk about this finally, though. There's been a major policy change by Facebook.
Yeah, look, there's been some pressure on Facebook over the years for different things, and it's that fine line between should you remove content that's obviously generating hate crime, for example, or is obviously wrong, or should Facebook just be open to free speech? But finally, there's been a campaign going on to try and stop people talking about the Holocaust as if it didn't ever happen. And so finally, Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg has announced a new policy yesterday, and he said that from now on, if there's any information on Facebook from any groups, any individuals, about the Holocaust not being real or about conspiracy theories saying that it didn't happen or it's been exaggerated, that content's going to be removed. It's actually going to be replaced with information that will point you to some historically accurate sites about the Holocaust. And a lot of this push was done by Holocaust survivors. And as you can imagine, there aren't too many Holocaust survivors around anymore. There weren't many after the end of Second World War, obviously, but people that are still living today, there's not many. And so they had this campaign where they were sending a video a day through to Zuckerberg, and they did that for some time before finally it got to the point where he said, no, Facebook have got to take some action, if for no other reason than to stop Holocaust survivors sending him a video a day talking about the Holocaust and saying that you've got to stop this information being spread around out there.
Mm.